Hello there, friends and sane persons. It's Wednesday, and I'm Kyle, and it's time for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Wednesday Whimsy is, of course, a short show I do every Wednesday evening, where I talk about a board game, a top 10, some game-related topic, something else, whatever happens to be on my mind. I am having some serious tassel troubles today, but that's all right. So... Yeah, I just talk about something that I am in the mood to talk about. Sometimes we talk about a game that I have been playing recently, and that's what I'm prepared to do today. Today I'm going to be talking about a game that I mentioned briefly on last week's quarterly countdown, but this game it was new to me this quarter, and it was a surprise hit for me, Challengers. So, Challengers is a game. It's a game that I got last year at Essen, and I was on the fence about it, but it looked kind of quirky and fun. I mean, it had a big T-Rex as the artwork. It it just looked like a silly game where you mashed a bunch of things together and did something, kind of like almost a smash up type game. And so I decided to purchase a copy, and I read the rules, and it didn't make much sense to me. So I kind of set it aside. It turned out to look a little bit more like a party game, and I set it aside and thought nothing of it for several months. And then I tried it this last quarter in 2023. I actually tried it the first time on Board Game Arena, and I was blown away by how much fun it was. So I just had to get it out and try it with everybody I've been able to since then. And so what is it about? The game is kind of, sort of a capture the flag game. I say kind of, sort of, because it's not really what you're doing. That's thematically what you're doing. But what you're really doing is playing a game kind of like a Magic the Gathering style game or a Pokemon style game where you're kind of building your deck and then using it, seeing how it works, and then building it up a little bit more, and then using it again. So you're going to play 7 rounds and try and get the most points. Each round is worth a variable amount of points, and it goes up. The earlier rounds are worth, I think, 2 to 4, maybe. I don't have the numbers down, but the later rounds are going to be worth 6 or 7. And so, you're going to get more points for winning later in the game, but it is also a simultaneous game where most everything happens at the same time for all players, and it's just a very fascinating thing. So when I talk about it today, I thought I would do something a little bit differently than I usually do, and that is if I'm able to show it. I have it set up here as a solo game on Board Game Arena, and I was just going to show kind of how the game works as I talk about, how it works. And then I'll sort of talk about it a little bit more. So let me see if I'm able to get that to show up here. So here we actually have it. This is the game all set up and going, because I actually think the game is learned best by playing it. So you're going to start each phase by drawing one, or you're going to get to add 1 or 2 cards to your deck. And they're going to come from 3 different separate stacks, A, B, or C. You will draw your cards. You're going to choose one of these 5 to add. So, for example, let's say I wanted to add this vendor to my deck. I'd add it to my deck, and then I get to choose a second one, which I could either take from these ones, or I could even redraw. So discard all those and redraw replacements. And so let's say I take who doesn't want a treasure? Then you're going to decide whether you want to get rid of any of the cards from your deck. Let's say early in the game that I don't, so I would be finished with it. I would then shuffle my deck. Here, the game's shuffling it for me, and first player would be decided randomly the first round. And on my turn, I would flip a card. As long as I have a value that is higher than the opponent's value, I take possession. The opponent then goes until they tie my value. So you saw right there, they got to a 3, and so that tied my 3, and my 3 goes to the bench. So let's pause here and talk. The way you lose a round is if ever you don't have enough cards in your deck to at least reach where your opponent's value is, or if you have all 6 slots of your bench full, the round is over and, you lose. So in this case, you'll see that they got 3, which was the total value I had, and so they took over. But here's the catch. All of their cards are stacked, and only the top one counts. So now all I have to do on my turn is reach a 1. And so I did. You see, I tied them, and so now there they go. All right, so now I have to hit a 4. So I flip it over. There's a 2 and another 2. That makes a total of 4. But you'll see now it goes down to a 2, except this one has a special ability of it has 2 more when it's in possession. So now they had to get there, and now I go. There's a 2 and a 1. That's a 3. You'll see I won that. They win this one. And we keep going like this until somebody loses the round. So you'll see that the robot player here lost the round. I got 2 points as my score, and we will go into a new round. In this round again, I'm going to choose cards from a deck. I'm going to add something to my deck. Let's say I like the butler, so I'll take the butler, and I'm okay with the spider. Let's take the spider. And let's say this time, I want to get rid of all of those trashy ones. And so then we would start a new phase, and we would play again. Now, since I won the previous round, I start the new one. And you kind of get the picture from that. We won't play through all 7 rounds because that's, not very much fun when I'm not actually paying attention to it. But really, that's what it is. Now, in a 2-player game, which is kind of like what I'm playing with this robot player, if ever I'm not able to get to... if I'm ever not able to, if I ever have 11 points more than my opponent, I also instantly win. And that's a rule only in a 2-player game. And you're just going to do that. Now, I did say it's simultaneous, though, and that's kind of where the genius of this happens. Everyone's going to make those deck selection choices on their own. And then you're going to split up. You get this little card at the beginning of the game that shows you your tournament plan. And you're going to see which players you play. So it might put me against player 2 the first round, and then I'll play against player 3 the second round. And you're going to get up and move around the table and play your little matches. And so there's always so you're all kind of doing the deck building phase together, and then you're going to do that kind of flip the card over and see who wins phase at the same time. And it's just you and another player. And so, you could have up to 4 matches going on at the same time. It looks like on this table they've got one. Oh, am I showing it? Yes, I am. They've got sort of all those matches going at the same time. And then you'll get your points and you'll go in and you'll do it again. And then in a more than 2-player game, there's that 11-point rule doesn't count. Instead, you sort of see who has the most points at the end of the 7th round. And then there is a final match played, sort of a winner-take-all between those 2 final players. And that's how you play. That's how the game works. I mean, you literally know how to play this game right now. There's really nothing I did not tell you. There are special abilities on the cards, but you sort of read those and see what they do. So let's talk about what makes the game special. Well, the first thing that makes it special is it is dead simple. I mean, literally, you could go buy a copy, pick it up, and play it right now with that explanation I had. You could go on to Board Game Arena right now and play a game and, know what you're doing. Now, figuring out how all the pieces work together, that's up to you, but dead simple. Also, this game is just a lot of fun. It is a stupid game, right? It's basically advanced war. But there's a couple of brilliant sort of choices that you have going on here. First of all, simultaneous. No downtime in this game. Secondly, you have just enough choice, right? There's this interesting balance, and I'm making it sound a little more strategic than it is, but there's an interesting balance. You think, okay, I always want to be able to go to equal my opponent, so I'm just going to put as many cards in the deck as possible. But then there's that bench. And what I didn't mention, I guess might not have shown up in the overview we did, is that cards that are exactly the same occupy one spot on the bench. So you're trying to get it's great to have multiple cards that are exactly the same, not the same value, the exact same card. Like I had that vendor. If I have 3 vendors, then they're all on there and they're all sort of contributing. And so you're trying to sort of balance not having too many unique cards in your deck, because that's going to cause you to bench out if things come out in the wrong order. And then, you want to have enough cards in your deck so that you don't deck out. because both of those are going to cause you to lose. There's cards that remove things from the bench, cards that mess with your opponent, cards that give you extra cards, lots of different special effects to go on. But that sort of balance between those two extremes of wanting to keep the deck smooth and streamlined so that you don't fill up your bench and find yourself eliminated, and wanting to have enough cards so that you can go the distance, and also wanting to have cards that work well together, that have good values, that boost each other and play with each other well. Those sort of three pieces of that two-piece balancing act I just talked about. I guess that, math's not my long suit. Those three pieces make the game really very interesting. So it's simple, it's fun and interesting, and it's just a cute game, and then it's simultaneous, so it can work well with lots of different groups. There's not really any downtime, which is amazing. It also gives you that nice sort of a feel of wanting to play one of those deck construction style games like Mage Wars, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, any of those where you sort of come with a pre-built deck. It gives you that feel without you needing to, invest any time or money in doing so. It's a very low stakes version of it, because the game you play, right, the flipping the cards, is not that interesting as a game by itself, right? That's why we don't play War very often. But as a part of this sort of overall experience, I think it works well. It allows you to experience the whole experience without needing to learn a whole lot of rules. So where's the but? Well, first of all, some people are not going to like this game, right? You already know from my description whether you're going to like it, because it's a dumb game, right? There's not a whole lot of strategy. I talked about it like there might be, but there's a lot of randomness here. There's a lot of sort of see what happens. You might not get cards that go well together. People might have better draws than you. But, the game's so short that it doesn't really matter. The publisher originally is One More Time Games, I think. I think the German publisher is E-Man in the US. And this is one of those games where you do just want to play one more time. But I should be talking about the negatives. Another thing is, and this is a rule in the game, is it comes with 6 different sets. There's a base set and 6 sort of thematic sets. There's red cards that are space themed, or green cards that are movie theater themed, or movie studio themed. It says, you've got 6 of these, and they're in different decks, A, B, and C. And it says select 5. And then, so remove one of those sets of cards, and then shuffle each of these decks separately. That is the biggest hassle. That takes longer than playing the game, going through and sorting out all 6 and then randomly choosing one and then setting it up. That's no fun. That part of the game sucks. There's an easy solution. The game is pretty low stakes anyway, and so you could, nobody's going to show up and take the game away from you if you just shuffled all 6 in. It might dilute the pool a little bit, but again, the game is as low stakes as can be, so I don't know that it really matters. In fact, I always do that. I took the cards out, I think 2 times, and I said, this is for the birds. Let's just play with them all. Why not? So that part I don't like. Also, the quality of the cards in this game is actually pretty low to mediocre. They just don't shuffle well. There's a weird finish on them. They're the wrong thickness. They don't go into they won't shuffle at all in an automatic shuffler. And hand shuffling them is kind of odd. I don't like the card quality in this game. I wish we could get a nicer version. And maybe we will someday. If it wins a big award, it's up for one of the Spiel des Jahres awards. I can't remember whether it's the Kennerspiel or Spiel. It doesn't matter. It's up for one of them. If it hits that, maybe we'll get a version with nicer cards. But so low card quality, maybe not all that great strategy, and that weird setup rule that's easily mitigated by a house rule. Those are some things I like less about it. So where do I come out? Well, for me, this is an 8 out of 10. This is just so much fun. I did not expect to like it. I sat on it for a long time. I sat on it for at least 6 months before I first opened it up. And I was just so surprised by it. Oh, I did forget a but. Sorry. This game really only works at even-numbered player counts. The box says 1 to 8, but 1, 3, 5, 7 are going to involve one person kind of playing against the robot player. And so, if you've got 7 people, you wouldn't expect one person to be playing by himself. And the robot player is okay. It can be challenging. You can make it challenging, but it's not the same experience as playing against an actual person. So I would say if you have an odd numbered player count, see if someone wants to sit out or play a different game. But as an even number player count, this game's an 8 out of 10. Solo, it's okay, but again, with other people, it's pretty good. Actually, my favorite player count is 2, and the reason for that is because you're going to see how your other player is building the deck as well. So you're going to see, okay, you're going for yellow cards. How am I going to counteract that sort of yellow card strategy or green card strategy or whatever, right? Like, again, I'm making it seem bigger than it is, but with just one player, you're always going to be playing against that person, and you have that nice extra push of sort of not wanting to let the person get more than 11 points ahead of you. But again, final rating for me is an 8 out of 10. I think this will work really well with lots of people. Your people who enjoy and really only want to play big, heavy strategy games, this is clearly not it. People who want to play sort of, rolling a lot of dice and lots of combat and, I don't know, space exploration or any of those types of games, obviously that's not here as well. But people who just want to sit down and have a really good, low-stakes time with the easiest rule complexity imaginable, this has you covered. This will work for families. This will work for groups as long as you have an even number. This will work for, maybe not little kids because there's reading involved, but, even, I wonder what the box says. The box says 8 or older, and I definitely think that's true. 8-year-olds can definitely handle this. So it can work with players of all skill levels, all complexity. I just really think this one is going to be a big success and a favorite game as sort of a let's end the night with this stupid game. And it's stupid, but I love it. And I was really, really captivated by it. So for me, it's an 8 out of 10. I think it's definitely worth checking out. I will say Board Game Arena is a great way to check out a game like this, right? I'm assuming it's free. I have a paid subscription because I play there all the time. But I think, you can probably play it for a very low cost of entry and see if you like it. And for me, I really did. That was how I learned it, and it really took off for me. So anyway, that's enough. I've gushed about this game, and I'm going to end it here. I'm going to wish you safe travels and courage when you need it, and I'll see you again next week for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.